Welcome to the show. I'm Jamey Eisenberg. That's Dave Richard. That's Heath Cummings. And it just seems like every time we sit down, we have our rundown all set to go. Show's all planned out. Something new has happened. So we had 3 big quarterback moves that happened already so far today. We got the news that there was a trade. We got the news that a prominent player you may have heard of is back with his team. And we have the news that there's a new starter. So I don't know which one of those is more important. Nick Mullins, Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady. Let's start with Baker Mayfield there. Baker Mayfield named the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. This is kind of a move that we expected once he joined the roster, and so it literally happened right before the show, which is why you see the breaking news label there. So, Dave, Baker as a fantasy quarterback, does he have any interest? We're going to do a Superflex mock draft later this afternoon. Is he a guy that you'll be targeting as maybe a number 2 quarterback, more of a number 3 guy? Where does he sort of come out for you?
I think we talk about tiers a lot in quarterbacks and in fantasy football in general, but if we're doing a macro view of the quarterback position, there's like 16 quarterbacks that are going to be draftable in all formats. 1 quarterback, 2 quarterback, Superflex. And then there's another 10 or so that are good in the 2 quarterback Superflex formats. Baker's at the top of that second group. I think he's going to be great as a second quarterback. In Superflex leagues, you'll start him as your Superflex, but I don't want to have him on my fantasy team if I'm only starting 1 quarterback. I'd rather take somebody like Tua, Jameis, Trevor Lawrence. They've got more upside. They're widely available, and I'll go for Baker off waivers if he gets off to a hot start in Carolina.
All right, Heath, I know you're excited about this for DJ Moore, so give me the breakdown of the skill players for Carolina. Is Christian McCaffrey, anything changed? Anything changed for DJ Moore? Are we looking at maybe Robbie Anderson? Are we looking at hopefully a Terrace Marshall bounce back? Where are we coming out with the Panthers' skill players now that Baker is the quarterback there?
Yeah, I don't think anything changes for Christian McCaffrey. If he stays healthy, he's the best running back in fantasy, and if he doesn't, then, well, his fantasy manager should be disappointed once again. But DJ Moore is the wide receiver this matters the most for, and it's all about the touchdowns. That's the one area where Moore has struggled so far in his NFL career. I don't know that Baker Mayfield's a huge upgrade between the 20s on Teddy Bridgewater, but every other quarterback that DJ Moore's played with, this is an enormous upgrade. But I do think he has a chance for 8 to 10 touchdowns to be a top 5 fantasy wide receiver. Robbie Anderson's the only other Panthers wide receiver that I'm considering drafting, and that's a double-digit rounds outside of the top 50 wide receiver situation.
Dave, where do you come out on DJ Moore? Because I think we'll all probably agree McCaffrey doesn't change because of the quarterback. You or I could be playing quarterback for him, and we'll still be drafting him as a top 3 overall pick. So when it comes to DJ Moore, do you share Heath's optimism now that he has his quarterback locked in?
I don't have him as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. And I know that I think Heath had him as a top 5. I think you have him as a top 10. I'm staying a little bit more cautious because Baker's an upgrade, but I don't know if he's a great one. No wide receiver has ever had more than 6 touchdowns from Baker Mayfield in the season. Only 2 wide receivers have had more than 1,000 yards from Baker in a season. That was Landry and Odell Beckham back in the day. And Moore hasn't finished top 12 in PPR points per game yet in his career. That worries me a little bit too. Now, I think he's got a chance to come through with the same type of catches and yardage that he's had over the past 2 seasons, and I think he can get 6 touchdowns with Baker Mayfield, assuming Baker stays healthy and he plays well. If that happens, then DJ Moore will be a top 15 type receiver with potential to be in the top 10, but he's going to need a lot of targets and a lot of touchdowns. I'm not sure they're going to be there for him.
Heath and I are a little bit on the aggressive side with DJ Moore. We're taking him over some pretty prominent names. Heath certainly is taking him over a lot of prominent names, but when you start to see Deebo Samuel and Tyreek Hill and A.J. Brown and those guys, Mike Evans, the fact that I know at least the 2 of us, we have him ranked ahead of those guys. We're counting on him to find the end zone on certainly a more consistent basis, so hopefully that's the case. And Dave referenced Beckham and Landry. That was the 2019 season for Baker Mayfield when he had both those guys go over 1,000 yards. So he has proven that he could support 2 wide receivers, but clearly DJ Moore, the one by far in Carolina.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.